Hi everybody, this video is on do-it-yourself Canada border pigs, and so let's begin. First of all, I want to make sure that I say that not all officials at the border are pigs, but I haven't run into any who are not. But there could be some out there, there's no doubt. PIG is an acronym. It stands for Persons in Government Who Intend to Perjure Their Oath. And the pigs in Parliament and the legislatures have listed border guards as peace officers to give them plausible deniability. And this procedure takes away their plausible deniability. 99% of the time, crossing the border has absolutely nothing to do with keeping the peace. The border is just an imaginary line. Think about it. And you're traveling, right? So you have a bunch of highwaymen on the border assaulting people, kidnapping people, falsely imprisoning people, stealing their property. That's exactly what's going on. All border guards operate in an official capacity as a peace officer or in their private capacity to collect revenue. Many LEOs are low intelligence thugs, and these are some ideas on how to deal with LEOs at the border and some things not to do. Every situation is different, and there's no guaranteed way to do anything. These LEOs, they deliberately screen out intelligent people in the hiring process for their law enforcement officers. They're LEOs. There's a case called Jordan versus City of New London. It's a U.S. Court of Appeals. It actually went to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. Case number 99-9188. Robert Jordan had a master's degree and scored too high on their test. He was too intelligent, had gray matter, had some brains. And they refused to hire him, and so he sued him. And it went to the Second Circuit, and, the Second Circuit even said, well, it's not a good idea, but they have the right to do that. I know several people who were not hired for these kinds of positions because they scored too high on the test. This is actually ABC News website. So that's on the internet. It's court OKs barring high IQs for cops. A man whose bid to become a police officer was rejected after he scored too high on an intelligence test and has lost an appeal in his federal lawsuit against the city. So then the next point I want to make is about Satanists and about order followers. And there's a guy by the name of Mark Passio. He's got a YouTube channel called What on Earth is Happening? He's a former Satanist priest. He's brilliant. He talks about natural law and about the pillars of Satanism. And, if you think about it, who would know but a Satanist priest? Anyways, so he says one of the pillars of Satanism is moral relativism. There's no absolute right or wrong. Truth is relative. Gee, that sounds like a court case. Truth and right and wrong is what we make up today. And there's going to be something different tomorrow. And he says 2/3 of people believe in moral relativism. And he says what he says is that 2/3 of people in America are practicing Satanists. And I think he's being generous because I think it's more like about 90%. Some of the other pillars of Satanism are, which are forms of mind control, is order followers. And the order followers are responsible for all of the atrocities in history. Think about it. All of the atrocities in history were done by order followers, people who were told to do something and went and did it. They just follow orders without thinking about whether it's a lawful order or not. They're willing slaves. And this is his YouTube channel. I highly recommend you go there. He's got a great video on order followers. Order followers is anyone who is wearing a military uniform as an agent of the Vatican. Think about it. This is taken from Article 10 of the Concordat of 1933. And it says the wearing of clerical dress or religious habit on the part of layfolk is liable to the same penalty on the part of the state as the misuse of military uniform. So that's saying that the clerical dress or religious habit is a military uniform. What do you think that monkey suit the judge wears when he comes into a kangaroo court? Okay, That's a military uniform. Okay, at common law, the judge would be in there in a suit and tie. And so you see these whores, these clerks masquerading as judges. They come in there in their military uniform. This is a military tribunal. Okay, that's exactly what it is. Almost all so-called governments are bankrupt, and they're owned and operated by the Vatican. At common law, a sheriff would have a star only. At common law, a judge would just be in a suit and a suit and tie, and that's it. Just a plain old same as anybody else. At common law, there is no uniform. In World War II, they had war crimes tribunals after World War II, and all the Nazis claimed they were just following orders. Okay, gee, that sounds like they were Satanists. And they either suffered death by hanging or spent the rest of their life in jail. Some of them are still hunted to this day. In Vietnam, there was a My Lai massacre, and they were convicted of murder. And today, order followers are everywhere, and especially these border pigs. All Canada Border Services Agency pigs have the words peace officer on their military uniforms. But if there's no breach of the peace, then they're not operating in their official capacity. They're operating completely in their private capacity. Okay? And this is where you need to take them on it. Okay? I have never in my life breached the peace. And these Canada border pigs and the U.S. border pigs and other ones, quite frankly, breach the peace every day, hundreds of times every day. And so we need to understand what's happening and at least not participate in it, at a minimum. Okay? You can't control what they do, but you can control what you do. If you get stopped by these Satanist pigs, it's a good idea to put both hands on the top of the steering wheel. You don't want to give them any excuse to murder you like they do on national TV every night. Be polite, but do not give them anything unless you absolutely have to, and even then under protest. Okay, my daughter was on a grand jury for about a year, and she told me that it's amazing how many times police would ask somebody, "Is that marijuana?" and they'd say yes. Okay, do not give evidence against yourself. And I can't say that enough. Do not give evidence against yourself. These people are not your friends. Okay, these are Satanists. They are setting you up. Okay, you need to treat it that way. They're thieves. They're criminals. Okay, in another day, they would be found hanging from some tree nearby. Okay, they are criminals. Everything they're looking for is hearsay evidence, and they need you to give the evidence, or it's not admissible in their kangaroo court. Okay, if you can record the event. Hearsay evidence. Everything they want is hearsay evidence. A date of birth is hearsay. Do you remember the day you were given birth? I don't. Your name is hearsay. Do you know what your name is? How do you know what your name is? Someone told you. Well, gee, that sounds like hearsay. Your picture is hearsay. It's an image. All images are hearsay. Your driver's license is hearsay. How does anybody know that you didn't make that up at home? A computer entry is hearsay. How does anybody know that hackers didn't hack their computer system? A vehicle registration is hearsay. You could have made that up at home on a good computer. A good computer graphics guy could make one of those up. Vehicle insurance is hearsay. Do not give evidence against yourself. Okay, these Canada border pigs or any kind of border pigs don't normally ask for vehicle registration or insurance. Or a lot of this, they really want to know your name, and they actually don't. If you do it right, okay, you don't really have to give them much, and you'll be on your way. But again, the more you give against yourself, then they're gonna want to steal your money, all sorts of stuff. Okay, so but do not give them evidence. Do not tell them anything more than you have to. Answer their questions, and that is it. And if they want to know who you are, then we can go through what a little dialogue of what you might say. Okay, they have nothing. Okay, if you do not give evidence against yourself, they have nothing. They have no witnesses. Tell them you have no problem providing whatever they want, but you have a couple of questions first. Okay, and then ask them, is there a breach of the peace, officer? And they should answer no. Ask them, do you have a court order to require this information? And they should answer no. And since there was no breach of the peace and you do not have a court order, then just so I understand what's going on here, you're not operating in your official capacity as a peace officer, but you're operating in your private capacity to collect revenue. Is that correct? And they probably won't even answer that one. Do you have any evidence that I'm carrying passengers or property for hire? And they should answer no. Do you have any evidence that I'm one of your duty-paying units? And they probably won't even know what that is. And since you're operating in your private capacity as a revenue officer, and you have that uniform on that says you're a peace officer, then you're impersonating a peace officer. And that's a felony. Okay? In Canada, it's an indictable offense. Okay? The pigs up there will call it, say it's an indictable offense. Well, hello. An indictment is something that happens from a grand jury and a felony. Tell them that everything they're looking for is hearsay evidence and inadmissible evidence in a court of law. Get your boss out here. Maybe I should be placing you under arrest for impersonating a peace officer. Now, you can bring that up or maybe not. It's up to you. Okay? And I'm going to tell you some things that I've done and other people that I know have done. And so it's amazing what you can get away with. Okay? Plausible deniability. Okay, this is the Criminal Code of Canada, Section 25(2), okay, where a person is required or authorized by law to execute a process or carry out a sentence. That person or any person who assists him if that person acts in good faith, justified in executing the process or in carrying out the sentence, notwithstanding that the process or sentence is defective or that it was issued or imposed without jurisdiction or in excess of jurisdiction. Okay, so what these parliament whores are doing, these parliament pigs, are basically saying that all you clerks out there masquerading as judges can go ahead and masquerade as judges and put on your show trials and your kangaroo courts, because unless you can get rid of the good faith, okay? In other words, you have to educate that pig that you're dealing with and let him know that he doesn't have jurisdiction, that the show trial was a kangaroo court, etc., okay? So they're essentially giving license to all these whores like Redmond and his kangaroo court to put on their show trial in their kangaroo court. Okay, that's exactly what they're doing, because there's nothing in here. Now, there is something here that we're going to go to next. Personating a peace officer. Okay, everyone commits an offense who A, falsely represents himself to be a peace officer or public officer, or not being a peace officer or public officer. Okay, so paragraph A is directed specifically at peace officers operating in their private capacity, people, okay? And so this is where you go after the peace officer in his private capacity. And this gives him immunity, okay? But when you point out to him that he is not operating in his official capacity, he's operating in his private capacity, you just went right through this like a hot knife through butter, okay? And now you got at his immunity, okay? And that's the same kind of stuff they do in Texas and other places. This is the good faith clause that allows them to assault you, kidnap you, and falsely imprison you unless they know different, okay? But when you tell them that it's a kangaroo court, they don't have jurisdiction, etc., then they don't have it, okay? And then this section applies. And this is Section 130 of the Criminal Code of Canada. Paragraph B is for people not being a peace officer and uses a badge or uniform, okay? Paragraph A is for those who are operating in their private capacity. And so you need to go after those pigs, okay? Because those A are the pigs, okay? That's what the A is for the pigs. Because of the communists in Parliament, everybody's required to have papers. So do not get their government IDs, okay? Do not bring them out. Do not give them to them. Get alternative common law identification cards. National Standards Enforcement Agency has a great ID card. There's a Department of Travel. That website seems to be down sometimes, but it's not always down. So I would say use that one if you can. They have a good one too. And there's other ones out there. Okay, in Canada, there are even common law identification cards that are available. I've seen them advertised, and you can get a ID made up that they will accept. Okay, that's like there was in Calgary. There was some lawyers. It was a lawyer, some sort of group of lawyers were making common law identification cards available for people. So, that tells me that not all lawyers are bad, okay? I haven't found any that were good, but there are some that are good, okay? Matter of fact, the ones that are disbarred tend to be the best ones. They got slapped, and those are the honorable ones. They probably did something to protect somebody's rights and got disbarred for it because they're not interested in protecting anybody's rights. Okay, but anyways, so the bottom line is that common law identification cards are available in Canada, in the U.S., all over. Okay, you just have to find a place to get them. There's no such thing as a driver's license. The court has held that there's no such license known to Texas law as a driver's license. I got 4 cases that talk about this. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is, and we're just going to breeze through those, the reason it's not Texas law is because it's United States law. I don't care if it's in the Texas Transportation Code. That is federal, okay? And it applies to U.S. citizens in Texas, okay? So a U.S. citizen in Texas is a foreigner, and Texas is regulating foreigners in Texas. And so you have to understand that. And so a driver's license is something that's required for U.S. citizens, and really a U.S. citizen's involved in interstate commerce, okay? It gets into the Commerce Clause, and so you have to stay out of that. That's where all this is coming from. They always ask for your driver's license, registration, insurance. Actually, the border pigs don't ask for registration, insurance. Usually they want a driver's license or they want a passport, and never give them a passport. Okay, never, never, never. Use your common law ID card and stand your ground. Okay, and you'll get through. No problem. I've done it lots of times. Matter of fact, when I had a passport is when they harassed me the most. Okay, so do not, under any circumstances, get them a passport. Don't even get one. You don't need one. Common law, you don't need a passport. Passports is for military. So then, when they stop you, you say, am I under arrest? They'll say, you're being detained. Courts have ruled that if I'm not free to go, that I'm arrested. So am I free to go? And so then, what they'll do is depends on how well you have your ducks in a row. I've actually had them tell me, you're free to go, but your vehicle has to stay here. So we'll cover that in a minute. So again, they can't stop you, okay? But if you have to, I choose to remain silent. I want my lawyer. Don't give them anything, okay? Go into questions about the peace officer that I previously mentioned, okay? Was there a breach of the peace, okay? No. Do you have a court order to require this? No. And so then you're not operating in your official capacity, okay? That's where you go with it, I'm telling you. If you're not free to go, then you're arrested, okay? This is what I did one time that I used it is I had this court case. This is an Arizona court case. Well, when I showed it, I told them I wanted to talk to the boss, and they got their boss out, and I showed them that. And then that's when they said, well, you're free to go, but your vehicle has to stay here. So that's no problem. You want to buy my vehicle? I'll sell it to you. It's for sale. An illegal arrest and assault and battery. The person so attempted to be restrained of his liberty has the same right to use force in defending himself as when repelling any other assault and battery. The reason for the initial detention, speeding, and running a red light are not a breach of the peace. Okay, so the point is that a breach of the peace is when an assault. Matter of fact, they're the ones that are breaching the peace, okay? It constitutes an arrest, And an illegal arrest is an assault and battery. They are the ones that are breaching the peace, okay? And so especially when he's not operating in his official capacity, he's operating as a private capacity, he's breaching the peace, well, that's an assault, okay? And that's where you go with it. You just assaulted me, okay? Am I free to go or not? Are you going to assault me? You know, absolutely. That's where you go with it. I know people who drive to the border. I've heard this from several people. Park their car, or they'll take a bus to the border, and they'll walk across the border with their bags, and they don't even ask them anything hardly. Okay, sometimes they don't even ask them anything. You just walk across. You walk past all the guards, and then once you get on the other side, you rent a car or take another bus. And that was someone that I heard about that lived in Panama and went to the Mexican border, made his way to the Mexican border in the U.S., which is probably the worst one, and that's what he did. He went and made his way there, took his bags, walked across the border, and when he got on the other side, just went on, got and rented a car or whatever. And so the point is that. It's amazing what you can do if you do it right, okay? I know people who have gone to foreign countries like Russia, and what they do is they send a fax to the local embassy. In other words, I'm in the U.S. right now, so you find out the contact information for the Russian embassy in the U.S., and it says, I'm traveling to your country. You send them a fax, and in the letter you say, I'm traveling to your country, I'll arrive on this date and leave on this date, and please send me a letter acknowledging that. And they'll fax you back a letter or snail mail a letter, depending on what you ask for. And then when you get to the border, you present the letter, and the guard doesn't even ask for a passport, because that's an invitation from the government. And the text of a letter could say something like this: I'm traveling to Moscow, Russia on the 25th of December, 2016. I expect to be traveling back on the 5th of January, 2017. Please send me a letter acknowledging this. And I have heard that works, okay? And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense, because then it's basically the letter is an invitation. That's the way it is. So when you get to these Canada border pigs, do not declare anything, okay? If you fly, they give you this customs declaration, throw it in the garbage, okay? Actually, what will happen, I've done this too, okay? They'll fill it out for you. But you tell them, I'm not declaring anything, And I wouldn't even, quite frankly, in hindsight, I wouldn't even give them, I'd give them my common law ID card. You want to know who I am? That's all I'm giving you. That's all I got. And do not sign anything. The airlines, that's one thing. The airlines operate as their accomplices, because they want to see your passport. And, it's up to you whether you give the airline the passport or not. But when you get to the border, don't give them anything. Okay, give them your common law ID, and that's it. Do not sign anything. Absolutely do not give them a passport or a driver's license. That's slave documents. If you absolutely have to, a certificate of live birth and a common law identification card, to show where you were born. If you were born in Canada, but even then, they can't really stop you. Okay, even if you're not born in Canada, okay, they got to have some reason to stop you. They want to know who you are, and after that, there's nothing they can say. I told the pigs about the fact that if I'm not free to go, then I'm arrested, and they said, you're free to go, but your vehicle has to stay here. And so if you want to, and so that's when you say, oh, you want to buy it's for sale. Okay, that's not a problem. I can sue your ass off for that. And what's your name? And then hitchhike. Okay, be prepared to do it. Okay, and then sue them and watch them start backpedaling. Okay, that's when you sue the bastards. Excuse my French. Okay, the pigs. You're the father of the devil. The lust of your father will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he's a liar and the father of it. Okay, these people are Satanists. Okay, this is literally the book of Revelations that's happening right now today. Okay, these people are Satanists. They're thieves. They're murderers. I don't know of anybody that they murdered, but I'm sure they did. Okay, and certainly they assault people, kidnap people, falsely imprison people every day. Okay, every day. Okay, and but the fearful and the unbelieving and the abominable and the murderers and the whoremongers and the sorcerers and the idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. So the fearful, okay, that means you have to be brave and stand up for yourself. Okay, and by which he also went and preached to the spirits in prison, 1 Peter 3:19, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth, and they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered to the pit. Okay, these pigs are going to hell. Okay, and shall be shut up in prison after many days shall they be visited. Isaiah 24. So the bottom line is never give up, no matter what. Never, ever, ever give up. And don't give them anything. Okay, I can tell you right now, they'll get tired of seeing you standing there and they'll let you go. And, tell them you want to talk to their boss. Get your boss out here and write names down. Behoves every man who values liberty of conscience for himself to resist invasions of it in case of others, okay? Or their case may by chance of circumstance become his own, okay? So I'm doing this so that you can be educated, and you need to do it because that guy, you might not be the guy that they're beating up on today, but tomorrow you might be. Okay, so you got to decide whether you're going to take a stand and put a stop to it now. If ye love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude better than the animating contest of freedom, go home from us in peace. We ask not your counsel or arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chains set lightly upon you, and may our posterity forget that you are ever our countrymen. Samuel Adams. And when shall it be said in any country of the world, my poor are happy, neither ignorance or distress is found among them, my jails are empty of prisoners, my streets of beggars, the aged are not in want, the tax is not oppressive, the rational world is my friend, because I am friend of its happiness. When these things can be said, then may that country boast of its constitution and government. Well, Canada is a communist country, okay? These people are Satanists. They're pigs. The whole parliament is full of a bunch of pigs. Trudeau's a pig. Harper was a pig. All of them are nothing but a bunch of Satanists, okay? And their judgment day is coming, okay? And their jails are full. Their streets are full of beggars. They're nothing but a bunch of Satanists. And their judgment day is coming, and I'm going to be cheering them on. Woohoo! You know, they say, the technical remote viewers say that around, and I think it's going to be around 2032 when the next Blood Moon series happens, the Chinese are going to come at us with an army of 200 million men across the Bering Strait. I think they'll go down through Alberta. And they say that they'll kill everything in their path. And I'll be egging them on, go China, go! Go China, go! Go China, go! Kill all those Satanists. But if the watchmen see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken in his iniquity. But his blood will I require at the watchman's hand. Okay, so now I have testified. This is my testimony. Okay, and I'm doing my best to warn you of what's happening and how you can protect yourself against it. And either you're part of the problem or you're part of the solution. You are now watchmen, and you need to circulate this video far and wide, or make another one and talk about the same thing and things that you've done. Okay, I've seen a lot of people do that, and so that's good. That's a good thing. Create the dialogue. Create the what do they call it? The buzz. So. Yeah, create your own video. If you know something, some ways that you've done it that'll work, create your videos. Send me links. I'll add them to my playlists. Absolutely. And because I've got other people's videos on my playlist for sure. And so, because the important thing is to spread the word. If it's a good video, I'll put it on my playlist for sure. Other videos, Bankster Thieves, 1, 2, and 3, Churchianity series, Do-It-Yourself Kangaroo Courts, 1 and 2, Bar members, 1, 2, and 3, Unidroit, martial laws here, do-it-yourself traffic stops, de facto courts, all courts are ecclesiastical courts, do-it-yourself toll roads, jurisdiction. Those are some of the other videos. I've got like over 200 videos uploaded. Upcoming videos, do-it-yourself U.S. border pigs. I've got even better stuff for the U.S. border pigs. Do-it-yourself habeas corpus. How to do a habeas corpus, the best one's handwritten. Estoppel certificates, okay? how to put them into estoppel, how not to register for selective service. Okay, all of that's voluntary. Okay, if you don't want to go off to war, because a war is nothing more than a satanic satanic a religious ceremony, okay, where it's the shedding of blood, okay, and it's all the fear, all the hatred, everything. They feed off of that stuff. These Satanists love it, and so it's a satanic religious ceremony. It's also a giant commercial transaction, and so these Satanists, they love this kind of stuff. That's why we've been having all these wars. You watch Jim Willie, okay, I was watching him today, and he's a commentator on gold. He's in favor of gold and that kind of stuff. And he really says it the way it is too. He says the Vatican is the seat of Satanism in the Western world and on this planet actually. And I mean he's got it. He's right on the money, I'll tell you. And he's got some great material. He talks about some of the stuff that's happening. So how not to register for the selective service. If you don't want to participate in their satanic religious ceremony, don't. Okay? If they come here, then we'll all be getting enlisted. Okay? There'll be no problem there. I'll be first in line. But I'm not going to some foreign country to participate in some satanic religious ceremony. Copies of these documents can be found on my private Yahoo group at Yahoo called Administrating-Your-Public-Servants. I have YouTube videos that are videos of private information shares that show these and other court citations that are available for a donation. Donations to support this work are appreciated. I prefer gold or silver coin, but as an extremely less desirable alternative, I can accept IOUs, Federal Reserve notes, PayPal gifts, checks, money orders. Send me an email for particulars. That last paragraph is for all the Satanist revenue officers that think that I'm looking for some privilege or benefit. I don't want your stinking privileges or benefits. You can put them up your rectal orifice. So anyways, if you find this useful, then you need to pay it forward. And if you don't know what pay it forward means, then watch the movie. And my blog is sovereigntyinternational.wordpress.com. I have a website, sovereigntyinternational.fyi. Email address is engineerwin@Yahoo. YouTube profile, Sovereign Living. Facebook community page called Sovereignty International. Private group called Sovereignty International. U-Haul private group, administrating your Yahoo private group. Administering your public servants, and a Google private group called the same thing. Now, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. This is a short one. I hope you got something out of it. I hope it helps you. And as with anything, nothing's ever guaranteed. These people are Satanists, and I'm hoping that they'll watch this and educate themselves. But anyway, so I appreciate you watching it, and I hope you have a real nice day.